Hey everybody, thanks for joining me outside on Outside with Jeff. Today it's time to harvest the garlic. So last week we harvested our elephant garlic, and if you'd watched the other videos after I harvested my white potatoes, I realized that ground was just way too hard to plant anything as far as a root crop or a tuber crop like a sweet potato anytime soon. So I went ahead and prepared the soil next to this garlic today, and I planted my sweet potatoes. We're going to pull this garlic today, and then we're going to plant one more row of sweet potatoes on a separate video. So let's get to harvesting. I'm going to start by just trying to pull them straight up. If the ground's too hard, then I'll get a shovel of some sort and we'll kind of lift them out. Yeah, it's too hard. If your ground's not so hard, you can probably get by with just pulling it, but I'm gonna have to use one of these to help pry it up. Oh yeah. Ooh yeah, that's nice. That's really nice, actually. Look how big that is. First one I harvested. I don't think they'll all be this big because that's a really nice head of garlic, but maybe they will be. Let's see. I'm taking this hand trowel about 3 inches from where the stalk goes in the ground. I'm gently prying up and pulling up on the plant at the same time. That's another nice one. This might be a really good harvest. I don't remember how many I planted. If I had to guess, I'd say it was about 120 cloves. I know what I did is my seed garlic, I went to the local organic or the local co-op. Look at that, I planted them separate but really close together. So I've got kind of like a Siamese twin garlic here. So I planted these really close together, so it kind of cut down on the size of the garlic. Oh, but what I was saying is, I didn't start with seed garlic. I just went to the local grocery co-op, and they sell organic garlic there, and I bought $5 worth of it. I don't remember how many cloves it was at the time, but I got $5 worth of organic garlic, and I just planted all of it. So turning out really good. I'll be saving, all these look great. So far I've peeled 6 and they all look really good, but I'll be saving a few of these and planting them for my own seed stock this year. I mean, there's no need to go to the store and buy some when you got this much. I'll have plenty to plant my own. Oh yeah, that one's huge too. See that? I would say that is almost a tennis ball. If I end up with 120 like that, this is going to be an amazing harvest. Wow, that one looks just as good. Dang, these are nice. I'm going to have plenty to plant for next year, and I'm going to have plenty to share too. Wow, this is good. There's my first small one. That right there is about a golf ball. When I planted these last September, I planted them on 3-inch spacing. It was 2 or 3-inch spacing. I think I actually did one row 2 inches, and I did the rest of them 3-inch spacing because I was gonna do them all 2-inch spacing, but as I was putting them in the ground, it just looked too close. So I ended up going ahead and spreading them out to 3 inches. And I'm glad I did because these are looking great. Wow. So at our local co-op, for an organic thing of garlic like this, it's gonna be about 75 cents to $1. So I planted $5 worth, and I'm gonna get, looks like I'm gonna get about 120 of them. So $5 investment to get $120 worth of garlic, that is an amazing return. That's a 24 times multiple. Meaning if I would have planted $1 worth of garlic, I would have got $24 worth of garlic. That's just an amazing, amazing yield. Yeah, these are looking good. I knew they were going to be ready to harvest because the plants, as you can see, the bottom 3 leaves are dried up on them. I probably could have harvested these last week. They weren't quite as dried up as I wanted them to be. That's why I left them in the ground. I knew we weren't expecting any rain, so it would have been okay to leave them in the ground, and so that's exactly what I did. If you watched my elephant garlic video on how I stored them, I'll be storing these the exact same way. Just gonna lay them out here in the garden along this wooden timber for a day, and then I'm gonna have to bring them up to the shed. I mean, not to the shed, to the porch, because we actually have rain in the forecast every day this week. We've went about 4 weeks without a decent rain shower, and they're calling for rain every day, a 40% chance at least every day this week, and I hope we get it at least half the time, because it has been dry around here. All right, the garlic's getting a little smaller. These last 5 or 6 I've pulled, they've been about as big as a golf ball. Here's a really tiny stalk. It'll probably be a tiny bulb, yeah. And here's a really big stalk. Let's see what we get. I'm gonna do a comparison for you. Okay, yeah. So here's 3 different ones, just for comparison's sakes. So this one here has a really thin stalk. It has a really small bulb. This stalk's a little bit bigger, and the clove's bigger as well, or the bulb of garlic's bigger. This stalk is basically as big as any of my stalks are in here, and it has the biggest head of garlic. So you can basically tell before you even dig what to expect as far as your yield goes, because if your garlic stems are really big, then you're gonna have some really nice garlic. I didn't find that to be the case with the elephant garlic though. A lot of the elephant garlic, all the stalks were basically the same size, but there were a few smaller elephant garlics. Wow, these are looking good. Now, obviously with this much garlic stores really well, but with this much, there's no way that we could eat it all before it goes bad if we just didn't try to preserve it some way. So I'll end up processing a bunch of this garlic in a food processor, and I'll put it in a mason jar and then fill it up with olive oil, and then you can freeze it. So that's a good way to preserve your garlic harvest. And then, like I said, I'm gonna plant some of it. I'm gonna pick some of the biggest cloves. I'm gonna plant some of it. I'll probably assess and figure out how much we get. I don't know if I'll plant this much for next year. I mean, this is a lot of garlic. This was only the 3rd time I planted garlic, but it was the first time that I'd planted this much of it. Before, when I'd planted it, I'd plant like maybe enough to get like 15 or 20 plants worth. But this year I planted, like I said, about 120 individual cloves. So next year, you know, I'll probably just plant maybe 60 or so. I don't know, cut it in about half. we'll see. The only thing about getting my seed garlic, or if you wanted to get your seed garlic like this, where you get it from a co-op and you just buy, you know, organic, whatever they're selling, is you don't know the variety. But to me, that didn't really matter. I didn't care, you know, what kind. If it's good enough for the organic grower who's growing it to sell at the market, I figured it'd be good enough for, you know, me. Okay, here's my first rotten one. It's split right there. It's just over, it was in the ground too long, that clove started coming out. I'm gonna throw this one in the compost pile. I'd say one of the reasons that these bulbs got as big as they did, oh, this one should be nice. This one's got a huge neck on it. Getting back to what I was saying, I'd say part of the reason why this harvest is doing so good is I was sure to pull all the scapes off. Instead of the plant putting energy towards flowering, you know, and producing that scape, when you tear it off, it puts all that energy. It's a good harvest. Scooting that straw away. I had heavily mulched this after planting, just like I did with the elephant garlic. I put a bunch of leaves down from our tree in our backyard, a good 3 to 4 inches of leaves, and then of course, you know, they settled down, and then I came over it with a few inches of straw, and that really helped them to not have to fight with the drought. Good even moisture. Made sure I got a good harvest. These are just looking fantastic. This is really loose soil. Doesn't have a lot of clay in it. I've been growing in this part of the garden for a few years. I've grown tomatoes here, peppers. What else have I grown here? Mainly tomatoes and peppers. I fertilized with compost, blood meal. I fertilized with, I said compost, blood meal. Of course, the straw and the leaves, they break down. They add nutrition to the soil. I put garden scrap or food scraps, not even that had already been composted. During the winter, I took kitchen scraps, eggs and stuff, and put them on the top. Okay, here's an example. This one I didn't pull the scape on. It was in the back. And see how much smaller that garlic is? It's probably the second or third smallest one I have. And I didn't get that scape off. I got 3 more back here that do not have the scapes pulled off. And I bet they're all gonna be small also. It's really important to pull those scapes off. And you're not wasting anything by pulling them off. I have one of my videos, when we pulled them off, we cooked them. We grilled them. They turned out really nice. I nicked that one. Throw it in the compost. Well, no, it'll be okay. I'll set it on the other side. We'll just eat it first. It is really big. If it was small, I would have thrown it in the compost, but now garlic is in the allium family, just like onions. So when you're growing it, you want to be sure that when you're rotating around, you wouldn't want to come back next year and plant onions in this bed, you know, because they're in the same family as your garlics are. So when I plant the garlic next year, or this fall actually, I'll need to find a new location for it. I haven't exactly figured out where I'm going to put it, but I've got plenty of time to figure all that out. around here I planted my garlic the first or second week of September last year. That worked out really well. So I'll probably plan on doing the same again this year. That was a tiny one once again. Scape that didn't get pulled off. It's got a tiny little garlic on there. So be sure to pull those scapes off. If you don't pull the scapes off, it's definitely going to severely impact your harvest. I'm going to pull this grass out, throw it in here. Those weeds out of here. Let them die off over the next day or so. I'll turn them over. Now I'm going to get a quick count here. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 34, 36, 38, 40, 42, 44, 46, 48, 50, 52, 54, 56, 58, 60, 62, 64, 66, 68, 70, 72, 74, 76, 78, 80, 82, 84, 86, 88, 90, 91, 92, one in the scrap. So I harvested 93. I was thinking I'd planted 120, but I know I didn't lose that many, so I guess I didn't plant 120. So what I said, we harvested 93. I threw one in the compost that was just really overgrown. It had split in the ground. It had a slug or something growing in it. And then I've got one other that was small, really small, but we'll eat it first. And then when I was digging them up, I damaged one, which those are all counted in that 93 count. So, you know, I don't know how much garlic you guys eat, but basically I almost have enough for 2 cloves a week for the rest of the year. And yeah, so that's pretty amazing. I also have my elephant garlic that I harvested, so we will definitely not have a shortage of garlic around this household, so vampires beware. But all joking aside, I'm gonna let this sit out just like this. I'm gonna let it sit out here like that for a day. I'm gonna keep an eye on the weather. Once the weather starts to show me that it's gonna start raining, I'm gonna move it over to my porch area so that it's out of the rain. After it's dried and cured for 2 to 3 days, I'm gonna do just like I did with my elephant garlic. I'm gonna come through. All these will be dried off. I'm gonna cut them off about there. I'm gonna cut them off about there, about 5-6 inches, and I'm gonna get them all tied up, hang them, get them so they can start drying, and then I'll hang them from my basement. So thanks for tuning in. I hope you guys are having an excellent gardening season this year. If you've never grown garlic before, I definitely recommend that you do. You don't need to find specialized seed anywhere. If you want to do that, go right ahead. But if you want to just go to the grocery store, buy you a few cloves of organic garlic and just grow it like that. You could grow these in a pot, a container, a raised bed, wherever. Doesn't require a lot of space. I recommend planting each clove 3 inches apart in all directions. As you can see, that's about a 4x4 bed, and I had 96 or 93 heads of garlic were harvested from that 4x4 bed. So 16 square feet. That's quite a high intensity planting, if you ask me, and the yield is just amazing. So hey, until we meet again, until you view another one of my videos, be sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and go through my playlist, see if there's anything in there that interests you. Thank you. Have a great day.